Today on the podcast, we're talking about live video and we're going through some tips on how you can get the best out of your live videos to get more people to listen to your music and get you found by new fans. We'll see you on the inside. What's going on, everybody? How's it going? Welcome to the Songwriters Planner podcast. My name is Mike, creator of the Songwriters Planner. And thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I always like to say that. If you've been listening to my podcast, you probably get tired of me saying that. But I do mean it, and I do appreciate you joining me every week. If you are new here, thank you for finding me. I hope that what I am talking about is valuable to you. I'd also like to mention that my podcast is on Spotify and on iTunes. So if you are on those platforms and you prefer to listen to your music on those, you can find me there. I'm under Songwriters Planner podcast, and of course on my YouTube channel, which is what I like to do with the video thing here. I like to cover all the bases. And last but not least, the podcast is on my songwritersplanner.com website. So if you get a chance, subscribe to my email list, and I send you notifications every week on what the podcast is going on or what's going on with the podcast. And if you want to check it out, please feel free. So I'd also like to quickly mention before I jump into the podcast, if you have not had a chance to check out my Songwriters Planner, it is a 6-month written planner specifically designed for musicians and creative artists like yourself and like me to help us be more productive, to be more inspired, and just to get more things done with you and your music. Sometimes we need a little bit of push and to get ourselves going, and that is what my planner was designed for. So please check it out, songwritersplanner.com. And done with that. Okay. If you see me sweating here a little bit, we're hitting the summer months here in Phoenix. I live in Phoenix, Arizona. So if you see me beating up, if you're watching on YouTube, then that's what that's about. And if you are listening to me, then don't worry about what I just said. Okay, so today's topic is we're talking about live video. Live video is everywhere. Facebook's got it, Instagram's got it. I believe maybe Twitter's got it. But basically all the major platforms are going to a live video format or are offering some kind of live video. And I started thinking about this topic this week because I have a friend who is a musician. I've actually had him on the podcast before. His name is Lee Pereira, and he is doing something amazing as of this. This is actually the last day of what he's been doing. But for the past 2 weeks, he has been doing a marathon every single day, basically 26 miles at minimum. He's been running more, but he's basically taken a cause upon himself to run a marathon from Phoenix, Arizona to Burbank, California to the Ellen Show. He is an amazing musician here in Phoenix, and he has inspired so many people just by doing this, and he's doing it for charity. And today is actually the day that he's supposed to arrive in Burbank. But what makes his journey so special is he is live streaming. He has been live streaming his marathon for the past 2 weeks on Facebook. And it's been amazing. I mean, I've been watching him as often as I can, and he's been live streaming this to people, his music, his fans, obviously friends, relatives, and probably people who are just finding out about him. It has been inspiring. It has been all encompassing, and he has been killing it out there. So I just kind of wanted to think about live video and how it's changed our perspective of what we can do to communicate with people. And that for us as artists, communicating our music and finding new fans. Now, I wouldn't suggest necessarily to run a marathon every day for 2 weeks to get your music heard. That is an amazing feat that Lee's doing. But what I did start thinking about is what are some great ways that you can use live video, some tips to make it more effective for you so that when you start streaming your first video or your second or third, you're already armed with the tools and maybe some guidelines on how it can be the most effective for you. I like to talk ahead of myself so that you get more engaged people and people don't just scroll by your video feeds. How can you use live video to attract more fans? Okay. So in this day and age, live video is offered in many platforms and you can get really expensive with it. But the most basic way that we can use it as musicians is to set our phone up, hold our phone, and just basically show and share our art via streaming. And there's some things that we can do to make that more presentable to the viewer, or maybe to gain a few new fans because they may scroll across your music at some point and go, oh wow, that's pretty cool. So I am a fan of live video. I've done a couple different live video sessions this year. It is much, I gotta say, it's a lot different than doing a pre-taped podcast like this, there's definitely different things to think about when you're doing live. You're on the spot, and you got to be ready to give something to the people that are stopping by to see what you have to say. So let's jump into a few different tips to remember when you're live streaming next time. Now, this could be, you could be doing a performance, you could be in your own house doing a small performance of a song of yours. It doesn't have to be extravagant, but because live video is so easy to implement now, you can do it basically anywhere. So what I'm talking about today is this applying to you showcasing your music in some fashion of form, whether you're setting up for a live concert, you want to live stream it on your phone, or you're just doing something small and intimate in your house where you're just streaming one of your songs. Whatever the case, let's keep these rules in mind. I shouldn't say rules. Actually, I don't like rules. These tips that you can try to make them work for you, okay? So the first one I just want to run out there is, if you're going to do a live streaming session with you and your music, probably the most important thing is to be prepared. Be prepared to know exactly what you're going to do when you live stream. Because if you don't have some kind of game plan and you just turn the phone on and you're just kind of like, whoa, hey, everybody, and then you kind of walk around and go, maybe I'll put the phone here, and then it's live streaming this whole time, and then maybe you try to do a couple different angles while it's live streaming, that kind of unpreparedness is not going to keep people engaged and want to stick around to see what you're doing. If you can get to the point where you can maybe get your phone in a spot that you know is going to look good, or you have an agenda, write down an agenda of what you want to say, what you want to talk about, or what you want to do, what songs you want to play, or just have some kind of small planning. It doesn't have to be a lot of planning. Just a game plan as to what you want to do with your live streaming session. The quicker you can turn on that go live button on like Facebook or Instagram and quickly capture someone's attention, the better off that you're going to be to get more people interested in what you're doing. People are very fickle online, and live video is being used by a lot of people now. So if you can capture people's attention right away and be prepared to, when you turn that camera on, you know what you're going to say, you know what you're going to do, you know what you're going to look like, the better off that you are, that you're going to have people at least stick around long enough to hear your music or hear what you have to say. It's really important to be prepared. So that would be one of my first tips to keep in mind when you first go live, is to have everything planned out, at least for what you want to do with this live session. Okay, that's the first one. As I check my notes here, I have my notes that I'm looking at. When you talk to people on live video, because it's live, keep your information and your statements quick, concise, and informative, and entertaining, and engaging. If you turn on your phone and you're looking in the camera and you go, hi, what's going on, everybody? And you just kind of, you don't, like, it kind of goes back to the first statement. Like I said, be prepared. You want to stay concise. You want to stay friendly. You want to be informative. And if you're not playing music and you're talking and you say you want to give an update on what you're doing, have all those things ready to go and keep it short and sweet. Because like I said, people don't really spend a whole lot of time on a single post unless there is some reason why they want to check it out. And be that reason for them. Be the reason why someone at least stops to check out your live video for long enough to where you can construe the information that you want to tell them. You don't have a lot of time, unfortunately. So that helps to know what you're going to say, and helps to know how to deliver it quickly so that people stick around and at least hear the important things of what you have to say. Another tip to help you have more effective live videos is try to have like a nice backdrop or a background or something that keeps people interested in what you're doing. Maybe some lights, maybe some lighting and stuff like that. That really helps when you're doing live video, because it just makes your video look a little more professional than someone just standing there in in their bedroom and not having like really cool things on the wall like I don't have today. Unfortunately, I am in the process of moving, so I'm all over the place if you haven't noticed. But if you're doing a live performance and you want to capture people's attention, and like I said, you're posting this on Facebook and you're going live, it's good to have like a nice backdrop, something cool, something that matches your music, something that will make you look a little more presentable to the viewer who's just swiping by, because you got to get their attention really quickly. Here's another tip with doing live video, and I kind of touched on it earlier, is make sure that you, especially if you're doing a performance, make sure you have a steady camera mount and and you have a good camera angle that you're shooting from, sometimes, a lot of times people will just put their phone down, and I've seen some live videos where the phone's down below them and they're shooting up into their nose and they're playing on the guitar, and it's like this shot from the bottom, the most, unflattering shot you can see is someone coming up, looking up someone's nose while they're singing into a microphone. Get a good camera angle and make sure that your camera is steady, because you want that that's going to reflect on you and your music and you as an artist. Especially if you're holding your phone and say you're holding your phone like this and you're talking to it, keep that phone steady. Don't shake it around, because that's basically someone's watching. If someone's watching there and all they see is a camera moving around, it's easy to get dizzy when they're watching your videos. So keep the cameras as steady as possible. Hold it steady if you're holding it like this, or better yet, put it on a mount and mount that thing so it doesn't move and you get a really good camera angle. And I would avoid the bottom up into the nose shots. Try not to do that, because it's very unflattering and it doesn't make me want to watch your video, honestly. That's an example of a really bad camera angle. There are many more, but then there are also really good ones. So keep that in mind when you're doing your next live video, and camera angle is really important. All right. Another thing to do is, another thing I suggest to keep in mind is, if you have people watching your video and they comment on it and they say, hey, I really like that song, hey, great update, or they're communicating with you, and you see it happening, give them a shout out, talk back to them, acknowledge that you're seeing what they're typing, acknowledge that you see what they're saying. That makes them feel very, very appreciated, that you actually have this one-on-one live interaction with people. I know it's kind of difficult because sometimes the screens on the phones are really small and the comments kind of roll up and you can't catch everything. But if you do, and you are lucky enough to have fans who are interacting with you, definitely give them a shout out, respond to them, tell them, hey, thanks for the comment, so-and-so, say their name. I mean, it's really cool when you're on the other side of that and you write a comment and the artist responds back to you. You're like, whoa, wow, what universe am I in? It's really neat to see that, and it's super important to try and engage with the people who are commenting with you or literally communicating with you. It goes a long way. It sticks in your mind a long way, especially of the people who are, took time out of their busy day to literally stop and watch your video. If they took time to write a comment, it's not that hard to be like, hey, thanks for that comment, really appreciate it, thanks for tuning in. That really goes a long way, and your fans and people who are doing it will really appreciate you acknowledging them. I feel like a broken record saying that, but that's just how important it is, and how it's going to separate you from other artists that don't do it. It's kind of boring when you comment on something and say and you don't hear anything back from the artist. Now, of course, there's many scenarios where they just can't get to you if there's a lot of people commenting. But if you're at that mid-range, artist level where you have a good amount of fan base, but you can still communicate with them, it's a really special thing to do and a really special thing to engage with your audience. And it always goes back to engagement, which is really, really important. Okay. The last tip I want to talk about is try to be consistent with it. If you're going to do live video and let's say your first 2 sessions go pretty good, keep doing it. Stick with it. It's working for you. It's working in a sense that it's another way that you're communicating with your fans, and they get something special out of it. The engagement, the real-time activity. If it's working for you, then keep doing it. Do it once a week or every 2 weeks. Don't stop with it, because you may be on to something. And that's really cool as an artist to have a responsive audience who knows that, oh, so-and-so's going live tonight, and they check it out. If it's working for you, I would say stay consistent with it. Don't stop doing it. And even if it's not working for you, say you try it 1, 2, 3 times and you're just not getting anything, keep trying it. Try at least 6 sessions, try some live video, try it 6 weeks in a row. Then reevaluate, where are you? Should I be doing something different? Is this not working? Is this just not for me? Is it for me? And I can tweak some of the other things to maybe make it work. Don't give up on live video, because it can be intimidating and it can be nerve-wracking to hit that go live button. All of a sudden you feel you're live to thousands of people. however many people you have on your friends list, however many people you have on your fans list. It is kind of nerve-wracking to hit that button and all of a sudden you're live now and you're like, wow, people can be literally watching me right now. So don't forget that, to stay consistent with it. Be on a schedule if you can. It's just the good way to get you in the routine of doing live videos. And the more you do, the more you're going to get better at it. You can incorporate maybe some live instruments into it. You incorporate interviews or something like that, or just simple updates. It really, really is a great thing to start and stay consistent with. And it just adds to your basically operation as an artist. It'll add to it, especially if you get really good at doing it. So live video is not going anywhere. It is here to stay. It is only going to grow. And God, I'm having trouble talking today, but it is only going to grow. More people are going to use it. If you don't get online with live video now, in a year from now, there will be even more people out there doing it. So if it's something that you've always been curious about doing, I would say jump in now. Learn live video now. Learn as much as you can before everybody else does. Because as soon as the masses come and start doing live video, you will already have that experience. You will already feel comfortable doing it, and you'll be a step ahead of everybody. So live video is super important. It is the future of the internet. Everybody can broadcast. Everybody's a TV station now. What are you going to do to use this new technology to further your music and to find more fans? And it's one of those things where it's right there for us to use. We just need to tap into it and be consistent with it and start using it. Build out your own niche of how you use live video. It just takes practice and some motivation and, like I said, consistency. So I hope you enjoyed this episode on live video. I really feel like I could talk more about it. I'm a fan of live video, but I want to keep these podcasts in bite-sized chunks so that we can talk about it again in the future. And if you have any suggestions or experiences with live video, what's worked for you and what hasn't, please let me know. Hit me up at mike@songwritersplanner.com, and I look forward to hearing from you guys, okay? We'll see you at the next episode. Peace and love.